Adrenaline is released in response to highly stressful or exciting situations, and it is commonly experienced and sometimes sought after for the powerful physical boost it gives. INfocus explored a few different adrenaline-inducing activities and questioned participants about how exactly the adrenaline rush aids them and why they get such an exhilarating feeling. Our first investigation was into the sport of rock climbing and which situations prompted the greatest adrenaline rush.
Hey, I'm Sean Harvey. I'm a junior and I've been rock climbing my whole life. My dad was a big climber in the 70s, and then so right off the bat, when me and my brother were both born and like of the age where we can climb, we just started climbing. I've done some climbing in Moab, Utah, which is pretty cool. I've done a ton of climbing in Yosemite. I climbed Royal Arches, Half Dome, so that was pretty cool. And I've also climbed in the Dolomites in Italy, and also some small spires in Greece. Wall climbs are usually pretty high up where you need rope. Basically, if you fall without ropes, it's going to be dangerous, you're going to hurt something. But generally, bouldering, it's just small, shorter routes that are just like, 10 to 15 feet off the ground, but they're fairly more difficult. Like the easiest bouldering route is a moderate wall climb, because it's kind of as mental as it is physical, just like a lot of other sports. Damn. That was nice. Adrenaline is a pretty big part of rock climbing, but you don't want to let it like overtake you. You want to like stay focused. The only time you really want to have adrenaline is if you're like climbing in a gym and like doing climbing that's harder than you're used to. But like when you're climbing outdoors, you want to stay calm. It's a bit sketchier climbing outdoors. Like you have to like rely on like your knowledge of like making anchors and like setting protection. So like you want to be calm and focused, because like that's how people make mistakes and die and stuff like that. So if I was in a gym, yeah, I'd get pumped up a little bit, because it's kind of just like when you're in the gym, it's kind of just like working out. Like it's the same as like when people lift in a weight room, like they gotta get pumped, like listen to like some heavy metal or something. There's some adrenaline involved when you like reach the summit of a climb. I guess you kind of get stoked on that, and it gives you a rush. I mean, because like when you start to get up higher, like when you climb big wall climbs, like in Yosemite and stuff, the wind starts howling and you can't hear your belayer and stuff, and then you start to realize like, okay, I'm pretty high up, like because like you can really feel the wind, and like it's like forceful, and like when you can't hear your belayer and you don't know like, all right, can I start climbing or not? Like, is he ready? Like if I start climbing and I fall, will no gear be set up yet and I could just die? Like, so like, well, like it's never like you usually can figure it out. So like, yeah, but generally when you get really high up and the wind's too bad so you can't hear anything, you'll like do like rope tugs on the rope to like tell the other person like you're ready to go and stuff like that. But yeah, more as you get higher up, there's definitely more adrenaline.
Just as rock climbing gets increasingly more difficult the further you go up, skiing is the opposite, pumping your blood harder the faster you go down the mountain. The rush is felt by all, which we found when we spoke with a few different participants in this high-speed sport.
first started skiing when I was about 2. My parents met at a ski resort called Alto, which is one of the oldest resorts in the U.S. So they had to make sure that their children skied at an early age, so I was about that big.
I started skiing when I was like 3 years old, but I started skiing on the team when I was like 6.
Started skiing around probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. I grew up skiing in Park City, Utah.
I just really started pushing myself as a 30-something skier, doing extreme terrain and the Wasatch Mountains, which is pretty steep.
Right now I ski on the Sugar Bowl ski team, and I'm racing all over the U.S.
I try to go up as much as I can to Tahoe or to Big Sky, Montana, or to Utah or to Colorado, wherever the best snow is.
Different ways to get an adrenaline rush. You can go really fast, and that gives you an adrenaline rush, which the older I get, the less I like to go really fast, but I do wear a helmet. You can make arcs, turns that are the shape of the ski will take you in an arc shape. So you pull the G-force, so that gives you an adrenaline rush. And then going into extreme terrain where there's nobody there, like out of bounds, where you have to take, shovels and avalanche gear, that gives you an adrenaline rush.
When you're skiing your run, you're like not thinking about anything, and it's basically all just adrenaline.
I just think about the mountain and my surroundings, basically.
My dad, he became a hardcore skier. He was a Navy pilot, and he did stunts. He would do stunts in an airplane. He had an airplane when I was little. And so as a young girl, very young, I was doing stunts in the airplane with my dad. So I got an adrenaline rush as a little kid.
My favorite part of skiing is kind of like the laid-back lifestyle, but then the sport itself is just so fun, and it's pretty extreme if you push it to that level.
So when you get in the starting gate, basically like this brush of like nervousness and excitement just like kind of comes over you, and you watch the person in front of you go and try to remember what the course is and how you're gonna ski it, so that when you actually get on the course, you don't have to think about it, and so that you can go as fast as you can without like thinking basically of all the dangers that come with the sport and the speed that you're going at. In skiing, you like have to have certain amount of pressure on each ski. So if like there's certain hills where the ski track in the race gets so bumpy, and you're like being so bumped around, and you have to stand on your outside ski so much, and that feeling is just like, that you have to do it to make it down the course and not fall, so you just kind of do all you can so that you can stay up. Probably the biggest competition that I've done is in the past 2 years I've gone to the Junior Olympics. This one hill, the speeds were up to like 65 miles an hour, which is pretty fast, and like it's really nerve-wracking like in the start, but I like remember really well being super scared, but once I was done, like the hill was so fun. It was like such a fun race, and it was like really exciting. And basically what I try to do is I just try to block everything out of my head, like all the distractions, all the bad thoughts. I just try to think of what the feeling is that I'm going to get at the end of the course once I've finished, like that feeling of accomplishment. I think adrenaline is that feeling that like comes over your body that basically like blocks everything else out of your head, and I think adrenaline gives you the ability to like focus, like put your full attention into what you're doing at that moment. Like, and in skiing that would be racing and running the course and just pushing through. And adrenaline gives you the ability to be able to push through like all the difficult like parts of skiing, like the snow conditions, the course, the hill, adrenaline like allows you to like be able to do that stuff without like fear and without any distractions.
Another sport that tests the limits of adrenaline by going at breakneck speeds down the mountain, but this time on dirt rather than snow, is mountain biking. The constant possibility of crashing is what makes this sport so invigorating and entices mountain bikers to chase that rush.
We got time, dude. Make sure you're ready. Hey, what happened? We used to ride down that. Fuck me! Alright, we out? Give me a second.
I'm Jason Trissler. I'm a sophomore. My favorite part about mountain biking is definitely jumping through the air and being free, feeling the air on your face. You know, like that feeling in your gut when you do a big jump. That's what's up.
Ready? Hey, hold on. Woo!
Kind of the uncertainty that really makes it fun and exciting.
It's like this thin line between in control and not in control.
I'm Andrew Watson. I'm a sophomore at Palo High School. And I mountain bike because it's fun, it's adrenaline inducing. And what makes it fun is often when there's a super tough section of the trail up ahead and you think to yourself, wait, I don't know if I can ride that. But you commit to it and you sometimes you make it through and sometimes you don't.
When you're about to fall and you just commit to not falling, it's just like your heart just like skips a beat and you feel it all over your body.
There's part of you saying, oh, I'm going to crash, but then there's part of you saying, oh, wait, I can't do this. And what you have to do in that instance, you have to commit, and if you don't commit completely, there's a greater chance that you'll just totally crash. I was riding at Water Dog Park with some friends, and we went down this section of the trail. What we didn't realize is actually the trails wound back and forth. We went down the part which the water had eroded away, so just like a straight chute with rocks and roots and all that stuff, and we thought it was a trail, and it was pretty steep. And I was like going off the trail into the bushes, but I managed to stay on my bike, and I was just trying to stay on my bike, but I was just skidding and sliding, and at one point I finally got off my bike, but I managed not to crash, and it was a lot of fun, pretty epic.
Well, the most fun experience I've had when I'm biking is going off a really big jump and then going too far off the jump and then just having to jump off the bike mid in air and just kind of like fall and somersault onto the ground.
And just this past weekend I was in a mountain bike race and I crashed a couple times, but it was still a lot of fun. And that's what gets the adrenaline going.
Apart from sports, there are countless other activities that get the adrenaline pumping. Oftentimes illicit activities where there's the constant fear of getting caught. On the other side of that, there are the ones that do the catching, the police force. The exciting life of a cop is very much infused with spurts of adrenaline associated with the constant risk that comes with the job.
arrive at the 1239 severe address. 2133 Polgus, 2133 Polgus. We're still waiting on playback.
Detectives briefing room right here for the detectives. They come to their situation planning and stuff. So we come in when we talk to people, shut the doors. It's soundproof. There's a video camera in here. It's hidden. I can't tell you where it is. There's a duress alarm, so if we need to get out. Usually there's a handcuff or so here, so we handcuff us to the bench here, and we can interview them, and we have interview tactics that we use on them. That's pretty cool. Whenever you have evidence, you need to book and put it in the lockers, and these are one-way lockers. Once you put your property in there and close the locker, it can't be opened by anyone else because of chain of custody. They can only open it from the inside, and the evidence text whose office is right here. Holding room right here is one, and this is holding room two. So if you have a prisoner, you bring them here, throw them in there, take off their shoes, their belts, anything that they can choke themselves with, make sure the pocket's empty so they can't do anything to harm themselves inside. And you leave them in here, you know, some iced tea, get ready to interview or something like that. That's pretty cool. I have a job to do, but this is the job. The job is about helping people. The job is about enforcing the laws. The job is about taking people to jail sometimes. The job is also about being there to lend a helping hand. You know, I mean, you know, hey, my car's stuck. Okay. You know, my baby's in the house and they're fired. Okay, cool. When I wake up in the morning, you know, I pray that I come home safely, but I don't know what I'm going to get into. When I got on scene, a car into a tree was on fire. There was a guy with a fire extinguisher putting the fire out over the entire car. And as I'm walking up, I hear someone says, hey, there's an officer, someone in the car. I'm thinking, okay, the car was literally smashed to pieces. I mean, okay, if someone's in the car, they're already dead. I mean, you just think that, okay, you know, he's in the backseat or something because the car was that crushed up. And if there was someone in the car and they were alive, why wouldn't the people standing around be doing anything to get them out? And the guy with the fire extinguisher. If there's someone in the car and he's alive, why would the guy who had the fire extinguisher put it out in the car? So sure enough, I walk around and I see the guy in the car in the front driver's seat. I'm like, wow, he's in the front seat. Let me go check and see if this dude has a pulse. Went around, he had a pulse. This guy's alive. And that's when I tell the people around, hey, help me get him out, you know? Because I tried to open the door was wedged, right? So I couldn't open the door and then pull him out. So I had them open the door and I pulled him out and we started doing CPR. And the medics got there and this guy lived. You heard that he lived, right? Yeah. When you look back, all those things that I said, I didn't know at the time. When I looked at the video, I was like, wow. Those people had been there. Some of those people witnessed the accident. They saw the car hit the tree, but no one did anything about it. That's where we come in. The stuff that people don't want to do, I do it, you know. We do it, man.
So my name is Sergeant Brian Phillip. Tonight, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning on a long, cold night. And right, just about to come back over Embarcadero, when I hear East Palo Alto trying to catch up to a small truck that they believed was a DUI person, subject that was driving under the influence of alcohol, who had also just hit another car and took off. So it was a hit and run DUI. Well, no sooner do I hear this than I look up and the car busts the red light at Embarcadero at East Bayshore and takes out 101 North with East Palo Alto right behind. And so, of course, I'm going to help him because he's by himself. We hop on the freeway, and East Palo decides to turn the emergency lights on and do a vehicle stop. Well, he doesn't stop. He's starting to speed up a little bit, and I'm, in my role, since it was their thing, I was basically his cover. So didn't want to get too involved, but I wanted to be there if he needs me, so I was kind of hanging back, waiting to see what happens, which was a good thing, it turns out, because as he got to Marsh Road, I finally get to catch up with them, and the guy in the truck goes from the fast lane all the way to takes the exit, and in an attempt to lose the East Palo Alto officer at that point, he was trying to get away. Well, I just was so far back, I saw the whole thing, and we have cameras in our cars and all that, so I could record. And he loses control of his truck. The car hits the impact wall, rolls several times, and the guy's trapped in there, and I'm right there.
You know, do you wake up in the morning thinking, today's gonna be the day I'm gonna save someone's life? You don't think that. But do you think that today could be the day? Yes, you always think that.
The academy, your adrenaline is very up and down because there are so many different components to it. You have the academic component, which obviously you're in the classroom, so that triggers a whole different type of kind of adrenaline. The physical training elements of the academy consist of running, jumping, pulling, lifting, doing all these different types of things that trigger you to have the immediate need for adrenaline. Kind of another element of the academy where you experience a high degree of adrenaline is when you are in your other elements. So not academic, not physically training, but doing emergency vehicle operations, driving one of these cars at a very high rate of speed on a course, similar to a racetrack. That definitely requires a ton of focus and adrenaline. As you go from a classroom environment, a very structured environment where you need to achieve a certain score to pass, to a field training officer position where you're out on the streets and you're engaging normal people. You're not engaging every person who's going to be considered the worst guy on earth or a bad criminal. You're just dealing with the public, which is what we do.
The combined mental and physical strain of law enforcement creates a lot of adrenaline, as with all the other sports INfocus investigated. We found that adrenaline gives people the physical and mental strength to perform activities that are often risky, but also very rewarding.